Welcome to the Just Live podcast. I am your host, Olivia Stevens, and I'm inviting you in on my personal journey of learning and discovering how to live a life with more connection, joy, and purpose. I'll be sitting down with people from all walks of life to dive into topics including trauma, mental health, mindfulness, the nuances of love and relationships, and much more. I hope these conversations empower you to expand on what serves you, release what doesn't, and just live. Welcome back to the Just Live podcast. Today I want to talk about something that probably happens in all of our lives every single day, and that is kind of the interactions that we have with other people throughout our day. If you run into someone you know, the first question is, how are you? And most of the time, we always answer with, I'm good, or I'm fine, how are you? And we may not think anything of this, but I was thinking about this recently, and I think this is a pretty common aspect of our daily lives. When we're interacting with people, we give a very surface level response and we kind of go about our day. And I think in some instances that's necessary or totally fine, but I think it may benefit us to kind of stop and pause and think about that a little bit more, and maybe make the choice every once in a while to provide a different, more authentic response. So recently I was kind of thinking about this more, and how I run into people I know getting coffee or taking a walk, and it feels really inauthentic to just kind of say, oh, I'm fine, I'm good, how are you? If you're not. And it's hard because for me, obviously I think there's appropriate times if and when to open up, but do we? And how do we know if it's appropriate or not? And even if it maybe doesn't seem appropriate in the moment, maybe it actually is. For example, I was getting coffee and I ran into someone that's just an acquaintance. I see her, relatively often in Fells Point, walking around here and there, but we're not really friends or anything. And we exchange pleasantries whenever we see each other. Hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you? But this morning in particular, I asked her how she was doing, and she very authentically shared with me that she wasn't doing great. And I know that would probably take a lot of people off guard because we're so used to getting that rehearsed response of, I'm good, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? But she was like, I've been better, and it's been a little tough recently. And I was so taken aback by her honesty. I had to pause for a second, and then I also had to quickly decide as to whether or not I should ask more. And so I just said point blank, wow, I really appreciate your honesty. What's been weighing on you? What's going on? And she told me that her dad had been really sick and had been in and out of the hospital. And I know she just opened a business recently. And so, she's been really stressed out and has a lot on her plate. And I just really appreciated that she shared that with me, because in the last episode, I kind of shared my ongoing relationship with feelings of depression and how I am always kind of navigating them in a sense. And I don't always feel fine. I don't always feel good. But it's hard when you're, out in public and people are asking you, how are you? You just kind of want to provide that response. But by her being so honest and authentic, it just made me immediately feel connected to somebody. And I just told her how much I appreciated that. And I just said, thank you so much for sharing that with me. I'm really sorry that you're dealing with that. I hope things with your dad's health improve. If there's anything that you need, please let me know. And I think she really appreciated me just taking the few extra moments to kind of ask, like, well, what's going on? Like, are you okay? And I gave her a hug. And I think it was just a really beautiful moment when two people just kind of made a choice to be authentic and to take a little bit of time for another human being to hear them and to see them and to let them speak, instead of going through the surface level dialogue that we automatically resort to every single day. It's like, well, wait, like, are you okay? If somebody asks you, like, why do we feel why do we feel like we don't have permission to, like, just be honest? I mean, I think there's a number of reasons for that. I think one, maybe we don't feel it's appropriate to really share how we're feeling. You might think someone's in a rush, you might be in a rush, but I think every once in a while it may be a good idea to take a little bit of time and to really ask how someone is doing and to share how you're doing. Um, I think so often too we just answer with the, like, I'm good, I'm fine, even if we're not feeling that way, because we think it's what's expected of us. You know, we're expected to portray this, like, happy, perfect image, especially nowadays with social media. All we're seeing is the highlight reel. And so when people see us in real life, it's like we have to put up this facade that we are good, but it's okay if we're not. And I think it's also okay to share that. I think when we feel as if, if we're not great in that moment, things maybe aren't going well, we kind of internalize that and we think something's wrong with us. We criticize ourselves. I know I do all the time, and that's been one of my biggest struggles with emotions and with feelings, is that I think I'm supposed to feel a certain way. It's supposed to look a certain way, and when I feel different than that, I internalize a lot of shame and criticism because I feel like I'm not living up to some standard that I'm supposed to be. I think for me personally, I have a hard time sharing what I'm feeling with others. A lot of us were raised to suppress certain feelings, and a lot of feelings were kind of punished or criticized, growing up, especially as a young girl. It was, look your best, smile, be nice, don't speak up, behave, be the good girl. And you have to put on, like, this pretty picture and this pretty image of, like, who you are. And so it was never really taught, I was never really taught how to embrace all the emotions that I am feeling, and let alone be able to talk about them and express them. Especially if you think back to, like, your childhood, a lot of times when you're feeling a certain frustration as a child, if you're feeling some sort of, quote unquote negative emotion as a child, you're most likely crying or acting out because you don't yet know how to express yourself. And what happened when you cried or you were acting out? You probably got punished, or you probably got put in timeout, or, like, put in your room, and you were isolated and you weren't taught how to express yourself, how to process what you're feeling, let alone what it even was that you were feeling. So now we're kind of, at least in my experience, whenever I am feeling something that's tougher to work through or to sit with, I feel like I have to process that or somehow explore it on my own. I feel like I can't phone a friend or call my mom or even let somebody, know how I'm feeling when they ask me, oh, how are you doing today? It feels like it's something I can't share with other people. I have to process this somehow on my own because I was never taught how to, like, express this in a healthy way or even share it with others. I think if we gave ourselves more permission to feel everything that comes up, we expand our capacity and we create kind of a greater range and to feeling things that may feel heavier or harder. And I think when we create that for ourselves, we automatically open up and have a greater capacity and space, a greater capacity and space for other people's emotions. I think when we have a hard time processing our own emotions, we're definitely not going to be able to hold space and help other people process theirs. You know, in this instance with this encounter with this girl, I could have very easily felt like I was going to like shut down or brace myself because I wasn't sure how to hold her feelings. And even though it might have been even a little bit uncomfortable because it's not something we're used to, it's unfamiliar. It was uncomfortable for a split second, like, oh my gosh, she actually told me how she's feeling. She's not feeling well. She's feeling heavy. She's feeling overwhelmed. And just giving her the opportunity to share more and just kind of, you know, unload some of that, I think is a really amazing gift you can give someone, even in a moment. You don't have to solve their problem or take away their feelings, but allowing them to just share them, I think gives people some release and some relief in that. And I think that's a beautiful thing that you can do. I think this is also kind of a tricky and nuanced thing because nobody wants to like dump on somebody else or, you know, complain. Obviously, that's not the goal. But I think when you allow someone to kind of just like let go of something they're holding on to really tightly or feeling like they've been carrying for a while and just holding the space for somebody, it creates more connection. And it immediately, in that moment with her, I just felt, I felt connected, but I felt very privileged to have been given the opportunity to have that conversation with her and to ask her how she really was doing. I think that's a beautiful thing. You know, if she hadn't been as honest and she just said, I'm good, how are you? I would have said, I'm good. And we would have just gone about our day. And that like quick, that moment of honesty just took our relationship, which really has just been surface. It just changed it immediately. I see her and I have such a greater respect for her. And I just, you know, send like love and healing her way, knowing that she's like going through something. And it's just a reminder to you too in your everyday interactions. You have no idea what someone's experiencing or what they're going through, the things that they have to take on, the things that they're working through, what's going on in their life, like health problems, financial like turmoil, relationship issues. You have no idea. And we're all just walking around like we're fine. And we're not, and that's okay. And the whole point of this, I think, is just to like, if you take a little bit more time and intention with your interactions, I think it can make a huge difference in people's lives, even if it's just for a 5-minute interaction, to be able to like honestly share with someone like what's going on. And just getting a little bit of support in that moment can make all the difference in somebody's life. I think with how fast-paced our world is, it really impacts the depth of our connection because we're just rushing through our interactions. And I think our connections are suffering because of it. And I think our lives are suffering because of it. I think the depth of your connections is the depth of your connections and how you can connect with people I think is directly correlated with how you feel and your health and your happiness. And I think by her being completely honest with me, she's giving me an invitation to be completely honest as well. And she inspired me to be a little bit more courageous and open and honest in my interactions moving forward. And, if I'm not feeling great that day or if something is weighing on me, it's okay to share that with somebody because they may be going through something too. And them hearing what you're actually experiencing may be exactly what that person needs in that moment. So I think next time you find yourself in an interaction with somebody and they ask you how you are or how you're doing, be authentic and share with them if there's something that's going on. And I also would invite you to, be present in the conversation and really pay attention to someone's body language. Some people may not have the courage to share what they're experiencing. I would be curious, and if it seems appropriate, you could ask them, some more questions about what's going on and what they're feeling, or if they need somebody to talk to. It's really just about creating a safe space for someone to just be vulnerable and authentic. And I think the more we can do that, the greater our connections will be and the better our lives will be and feel. So thank you so much for listening. And I hope this wasn't a complete ramble. Until next time, thank you and have a great day.